Most intervals fit quite nicely under your hand, but there's one that requires just a little stretch. Can you guess what it might be? In this video, I am going to show you how to name and find sixth intervals on your piano. Plus, I'm going to explain how they're related to musical chords. If we haven't met before, I'm Rosemarie, piano teacher and composer at Must Love Music. Now in my studio, we love to make music. And I'm guessing you're the same because you clicked on this video. Part of making music is communicating and creating music with others. When we learn some simple key musical terms while playing music and do it all in an interactive and fun way, not only do we as piano players improve our skills at the piano much faster, we have a lot more fun while we're at it. Now, if this is something you're into, don't worry, you're in the right place. So what are intervals? Well, if you've been watching this mini series, you probably already know this. In fact, hold on. If you've watched the previous videos, pause this video, type it in the comments, come back and see if you were right, okay? Because that would be very cool. All right, so are you back? Great. So intervals are how we describe how far apart notes or pitches are on our piano keyboard or really any instrument. If you haven't seen our previous video on skips or steps, or what we also know as second and third intervals, or our fourth and fifth intervals videos, go back and watch those. We're going to be referring to them and it'll make it a lot easier. In fact, I believe I have the fourth and fifth intervals linked above. So what are sixth intervals? Well, here's a few examples of them. You'll notice that they're a little bit further apart than in our previous videos, the intervals that we've done so far. And yeah, we have to stretch our hand just ever so slightly beyond a regular or a very comfortable hand position. Like second and third intervals, check up there. If you haven't seen that, there are major and minor versions of sixth intervals. They're also closely related to chords, specifically chord inversions, which we're going to take a look at in a little bit. So we hear this interval at the beginning of a couple songs. I'm going to play a minor version. Do me a favor. When you hear it, pause, put your guess in the comments, and then come back to see if you were right. If you guessed In My Life by the Beatles, the intro part of it, you are absolutely correct. A major version of a sixth interval I'm going to play, and then I want you to guess in the comments what you think it is, then come back to see if you were right. Did you guess My Way by Frank Sinatra? So this one is really cool because it actually alternates between that major sixth interval at the beginning. We're just going from F sharp to A and back and forth. And just like our fourth intervals, we actually hear this in another way. What does this look like on the piano? Well, let's start on A. And if we go a sixth interval above that, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If I was to start this on a C, so I'll just go up here, we're going to base it on this note, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Notice that depending on what note we start on, from here we went into a black key, whereas from C, we actually didn't have to have a black key at all. I had mentioned there is a way that we do this where it's based on chord inversions, and this is actually probably the most common way that you hear sixth intervals. Okay, so let's start off with A major. If I have an A major, they're each a third apart. But what if I take this A and I move it up and I remove my middle note? What if I go from my second inversion? So I had done my first inversion, right? And I'd remove the middle note. What if I go second inversion, remove the note in the middle, and this is what it sounds like. Fun fact here, intervals are determined by the lowest note of the interval, not actually by the chord. So for example, A major, it's a major chord, but the first inversion, so I'll put these back here. So I move this up, move the middle. This is actually a minor sixth interval, even though the chord is major, and I'll explain why. What if that didn't sound very major, did it? What if I change this top note up half a step? Let's see if it sounds like it's a major then. Do you hear how that second one, it sounded minor once we put it in relation to the fact that everything was off of C sharp? So even though we're in an A major chord, this interval is minor. Now what happens if we go with our second inversion? Okay, so we went with our first inversion here. We're going to go second inversion, remove our middle note so that we've created that sixth interval. Here, what this sounds like based on E is the bottom note now. Suddenly, this sounded major, didn't it? Fun fact is they're determined by the lowest interval, and when you have a first inversion, so just like we had before, okay, then it's the opposite of whatever that chord was, and second inversion is going to match up with whatever the chord was. So this is kind of cool and definitely something to experiment with, because if we had gone A minor, suddenly then, so here's our first inversion. It sounded like a major interval, but we were in an A minor. What if we do second inversion? So let's move these back. We're going to go first inversion, second inversion, and I have a feeling you can guess what's going to happen here. Notice that suddenly it sounds like a minor key. Let's do a little improvising here. We're going to go in A minor. We're going to play a combination of melodic, one note at a time, and harmonic, so chord notes played at the same time with a little bit of rhythm. For your left hand, I'm going to show you what you can do. You're going to put your pinky on D and your thumb on A. We're going to do a bit of a walking bass line. Go ahead and try that out, or if you feel like you're comfortable with that, I'll give you a little example of what this could sound like. Sixth and seventh intervals can be major or minor. They're also closely related to chord inversions. In fact, the outside notes of chord inversions form sixth intervals. The interval quality, meaning major or minor in this case, is determined by the lowest note of the interval, not by the actual chord and not actually by the key of the song. Feel free to have a lot of fun creating your own songs using these intervals, whether they're melodic, one note at a time, or harmonic, playing two notes at the same time. To jumpstart your piano playing, check the description for a link. You'll be able to sign up for your piano lessons there. In fact, I'm hosting a 4-week intro session in August. I'll be giving more details in the upcoming videos. Do you have any questions about sixth intervals? I would love to hear from you. Be sure to leave those in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.